The story of Daniel and Joseph represent all the factors that we need in neuroscience as well as the Bible to achieve wellness for His glory. Wellness HG does not come by chance. Wellness HG is character on display. Character in adversity and in prosperity. The story of Joseph, where Joseph was caught in a situation where here was this young lad who had his mother's genes. His mother was beautiful. And he had a body that you could put on Men's Magazine. And there was this beautiful woman day and night going after him. Here was a situation with Daniel, where he was torn just like Joseph from his family. And he ended up in this palace where there was wall-to-wall food. This character does not come by chance. It is not the result of accident. It is not due to special favors or endowments of providence. A noble character is the result of self-discipline, of the subjection of the lower to the higher nature, the surrender of self for the service of love to God and man. In the struggle to reach the highest standard, success or failure will depend much upon the character and the way the thoughts are disciplined. One quotation is from Education, page 57. The other is from Letter 33, February 27, 1886. We have this clarion call from Peter. 1 Peter 4 and verse 7, he makes it very clear. The time of end is at hand. Be sober, so we can communicate in prayer. 1 Peter 1 and verse 13, guard up, gird up, pull together, discipline the loins of your mind, your thoughts. This is so important. And so what we have is what we call the upper nature is actually the frontal cortex or the frontal lobe, the executive function. This is where we think logically. The human mind, the human brain distinguishes itself from animals by having this large frontal cortex. The lower nature, or the limbic system, you have two primal drives: food, Daniel; sex, Joseph. And it is here that you have the huge release of dopamine, a chemical that is found within the reward system that has massive drives with anticipation of eating and anticipation of sexual activity. And this occurs in the mind long before the real action occurs. This system is very important to understand. And what we're hearing is there must be a discipline where the frontal cortex, the upper lobe, overrides the lower function, the lower nature, the limbic system, the primal drives. This is crucial. And so, how do we make this happen? The Navy SEALs try to answer this question. And in order to help the individuals they're training, the U.S. Navy SEAL got neuroscience to look at this. And here they found a situation where there are 4 critical stages. 1, goal setting or decision making. This is a function of the upper nature. If this is an integral part of your process, you have a good chance of the upper brain overriding the lower nature. The second step is mental rehearsal. So in goal setting, you have Daniel, chapter 1 and verse 8. He purposed in his heart. This is crucial, where Daniel was showing a very important neuroscience step. And then you have mental rehearsal. Daniel 6 and verse 10. 3 times a day, he prayed and gave thanks. Psalm 57 and verse 17 makes it very clear. Morning, noon, and evening, I will pray. It is here with you, the mental rehearsal takes place. It is very important that you have the goal setting and you also have this meditating day and night, Psalm 1 and 2 in the Word. Here's where the mental rehearsal comes in. And then there is self-talk. I love the way Joseph Munn demonstrates this. Joseph said, this boss of mine doesn't know what he has. I'm in charge of everything. How can I sin against my God? This is self-talk. We say to ourselves 300 to 1,000 words a minute, mostly negative thoughts. If we replace our thoughts with our commitments or loyalty, positive words, positive thoughts, then the upper lobe overrides the lower. And the last one is arousal control, which is essentially deep breathing. Once you take slow, silent, deep breaths, you actually turn off the cortisol and the adrenaline drive given out from the lower nature. But it is very weak. The things that really work is the decision making, the goal setting, the constant mental rehearsal, going over the promises, the commitment, the drills that you wish to accomplish, and then the self-talk. And so, if you look at this from the biblical perspective, Daniel 1 and verse 8, he purposed, mental rehearsal. Daniel 6 and verse 10, Psalm 55 and verse 17, self-talk. Here, Genesis 39 verses 7 and 10, practice. You get an opportunity to start practicing this. And when you practice, there are chances. Sometimes you will fail where the lower nature comes up and overrides the upper nature. When that happens, thank God for grace. You stop, you pray, ask for forgiveness if you need to. You pass on. You restart. Leave yesterday behind. Here you have a situation where it is God who works in you both to do His will and by His favor carrying you to the end. It is God working by taking care of the frontal lobe, allowing you to override the upper over the lower nature. Philippians 2 and verse 13 makes it very clearly. It is God who works in you. It is by His grace, by His strength, you stop and you restart. And so we worked out for you in 2 minutes some principles from the Bible. And I put in a little acronym called New Steps. Nutrition. This is important. With nutrition, from Genesis 1 and verse 29, plant-based, whole food. Not vegetarian, not vegan, plant-based, whole food, exactly how it was in Eden. And here in Genesis 2 and verse 15, you have physical activity. You need 30 to 60 minutes, 5 to 7 days a week to make this happen. Physical strengthening twice a week. And if you're trying to lose weight, we're talking about 60 to 90 minutes a day. Water. Stay hydrated. This is very important. And next, sleep. You need 7.5 to 9 hours of sleep every night. And you go to bed with nothing to eat within 5 hours of bedtime. Okay? So if you hit your bed at 9 or at 10, you should not be eating anything after 4 or 5 as the situation. And you need time out, recreation, rest, one day for Sabbath, for God, for family. This is important to make this happen. And then equilibrium. You have to be in equilibrium with the principles of God, the nature of God's nature. Fresh air, sunshine. It is through sunshine that you get vitamin D. It is crucial for your mood, for your bone development, along with physical activity, especially weightlifting. And of course, you must study the circadian rhythm. When is the best time to eat? Is breakfast important? Exodus 16 and verse 21, an exegesis of this shows that this is so important in your development of mealtime and getting the most of your calories in the early part of the day. And then partnering with a physician. That is so important that you have a physician where you get your physical, your mammograms, you're going for your cholesterol. And because there are things that we inherit. We unfortunately live in a sinful world and we have inherited sinful things. So you want to prevent things before they happen or diagnose early. And finally, a stress-resistant personality. Philippians 4 and verse 6 makes it very clear, be anxious for nothing. Proverbs 3 verses 5 and 6, trust in the Lord. You don't have to worry. He will direct your path. It is by God's strength, in His will, by His power, it is by grace and grace alone that we achieve wellness for His glory. Through discipline, through spending time with God, mental rehearsal, prayer, this can be accomplished.